Chapter 73 of Shrimadbhagavatam, King Chitraketu. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Parikshit intervened and said, "My lord, you have been telling about the Asuric birth of Vritra. You also related the cruelties perpetrated by him on the Devas during the great fight. And yet, my lord, he spoke words which only a great Bhakta of the Lord can speak. How is it possible for this dread Asura to have been a Bhakta of the Lord? Please enlighten me about this, which is puzzling me so much. Even the Devas who are said to be endowed with sattvic qualities, even Rishis who are pure-minded, do not seem to have so much devotion to the Lord as Vritra seems to have had. In this world, there are more living beings than grains of sand on the seashore. Among them, a few, very few, walk in the path of Dharma. Again, among this small minority, very few think of moksha as the ultimate aim of living. Among 1,000 people who desire moksha, only one is able to really shed the bondage named worldly attachments. Among 1 crore of such sublimated souls, one will be able to reach the feet of the Lord. When such is the case, how is it that Vritra, who was an Asura, who was bent on harassing the Devas, who was a sinner, how is it that he had had so much bhakti for the Lord? How is it that his life was lost in the feet of the Lord? Please elucidate this mystery to me." Sukha Brahma was pleased with the pertinent question of Parikshit. He said, "Your question is very apt. It is a great story, the background to the spiritual perfection of Vritra the Asura. I will be only too glad to narrate the story to you. In the country named Surasena was a king by name Chitraketu. He ruled the world righteously. He was a very good king, and there was only one thing which marred the happiness of the king. Though he had many wives, the king had no children. He was blessed with everything except a son, and that made him very unhappy. Once, the sage Angirasa came to his country by accident during his wanderings over the face of the earth. The king received him with all humility and honored him as was his due. Pleased with his good qualities, the sage said, "I am very pleased to see a king who is the very flower of courteous behavior. You are a very good man, and you seem to respect elders. You have been granted all the things which men usually crave for, and you deserve all the good fortune that has been granted. Yet, when I look at you, it seems to me you are not happy. Tell me, what is it that is worrying you so much that I can easily read your unhappiness on your face?" The king told him about his misfortune. He said, "You are a seer, and surely you must be able to guess the canker that is eating into my vitals. And yet, since you ask me, I will tell you. Blessed as I am with beautiful and good wives, with all the good things of the world, I have not the good fortune to be the father of a son. These other things with which I am blessed do not really please me, just as a hungry man will not be pleased with offerings of flowers and sandal paste when he wants nothing but food. If you will take pity on me, you will surely be able to help me and save me from the hell meant for those who have no children. Please take pity on me." Angirasa, the son of Brahma, took pity on him, and preparing a divine concoction over which the Lord Tvashta presided, he gave it to the king and asked him to give it to his eldest wife. The king Chitraketu sent for his wife, and after purifying themselves, the king and queen saluted the rishi. The king then gave the concoction to his wife as commanded by the rishi. After she had partaken of it, Rishi Angirasa went away from there to continue his wanderings. In course of time, a son was born to the king. Great was the rejoicing in the entire kingdom. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Krishnarpanamaste. Chapter 74 of Shrimadbhagavatam, The Death of the Prince. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. As for the king, his joy knew no bounds. He became attached to the child and spent most of his time with him. The mother of the child naturally became the favorite queen, and the others felt neglected. They thought that they were now being treated worse than servant maids, since the king did not even visit them as he was wont to in the days before the birth of the prince. And again, they were jealous of the mother of the child, since only she was blessed with motherhood and its joys, while they had been denied that pleasure. This jealousy made them lose their right thinking, and in desperation they made up their minds to do something drastic. One day, they poisoned the child. The mother had left the child in his bed, and when she looked at him, she thought that he was sleeping. She went about her daily routines. After a while, she thought that the child had been sleeping too long and asked the maid to bring the child to her. The maid went and saw the child dead. She sent up such a heartening cry that the mother rushed to see what had happened. In a moment, the news spread like wildfire that the king's son was dead. The queen had fainted away, and the king rushed to her apartments. When he saw his beloved son dead, the king thought that he would lose his reason. Both the father and mother cried like demented persons, and the entire palace was sunk in awe, and the entire country presented a dismal appearance. To them came Angirasa, who had granted them the child, and with him came Narada. They approached the king and spoke words of wisdom to the unhappy man. They said, "O king, you are now mourning the death of your son. But if you look at it in a sensible manner, you will realize that you are doing a foolish thing. What is he to you that you should weep for him? How are you related to him? You think that you are the father and that he is your son. But think for a moment. In your previous birth, and in his previous birth, and again in your next birth and his next birth, will you both have the same relationship as you are having now? Did you have the same relationship during your earlier births? This son of yours, who seems to be yours now, is not going to be your son in your next birth. He may be your friend or your enemy, or perhaps an entire stranger to you altogether. This relationship of father and son is so indeterminate. When the river is flowing fast, grains of sand which flow along with it travel together for a while, and then they are parted, never to meet again. Even so, in this stream called time, you and your son travel together for a while, and now the parting of the ways has come. Like a plant is born of another because of the seeds, even so are born in this world. Even so, children are born in this world. Like a plant is born of another because of the seeds, even so children are born in this world. No one has a claim on his child. No one has a claim on his child. There is nothing here to be sorry for. Deluded by Maya, you think that you are the father of this child, and so you weep. Shed this delusion. You and I and all living and non-living things on the face of this earth are here for a while in this birth. After death, there will never be a meeting for all of us. After death, there will never be a meeting of all of us. This is just a temporary abode for all of us who stay together. Why then should you feel sad? The Lord creates, He preserves, and He destroys. This is the law of nature. Out of the body of the Dehi called father, out of the Dehi called mother, is born the body of the Dehi called the son. This is as natural and as the birth of a seed from a tree. The bodies get destroyed following the law of nature. The law that what is born must die. However, the Dehi, the Atman, never gets destroyed, and so there is no need to mourn the death of something which has no death. This demarcation between the body and the Atman exists because of the ignorance of the true nature of the Atman. Once you shed this ignorance, this avidya, your sorrow will disappear. Come, rouse yourself and get over this false sense of loss and pain. There is no need for pain here. King Chitraketu heard these words, and wiping his face with his hands, he said, "Who may you be that speak such comforting words to me? It is known that the emancipated souls like you travel the world over to reach the truth to deluded mortals like myself who behave as we do, like mad people because of grief, which in turn is born of attachment. You are the lords of my soul, which is floundering in the sea of ignorance. Please kindle inside my dark heart the light of wisdom and grant me happiness." Angirasa said, "O king, I am Angirasa, who once granted you the son whom you desired. This Narada, the son of Brahma, is my brother. Burning as you are with grief at losing your son, you are not able to recognize me. We have come to save you. You are devoted to the Lord, and it is not right that you should be unhappy. When I came to you last, I would have taught you the Brahma Vidya, but I saw that you were not ripe enough for it then. You are still caught up in the Maya of the Lord. You had a desire for an earthly object, a son, and so I granted you a son. Now you are going through the tortures of a man who has lost his son. O king, women, home, wealth, glory, the objects of the senses, royalty, servants, friends, relations, all these are but so many causes of pain, of unhappiness, of delusion, fear, and sorrow. Consider for a moment. Have you never stood on the terrace of your palace and watched the clouds chasing each other? At times, have you not observed that they look like a large city with battlements, with palaces, with spires and castles? Has not your imagination ever conjured up a city out of nothing? This cloud city is called by the wise Gandharva Nagari, a city built entirely out of the power of the imagination. Have you never dreamed? And during the duration of the dream, have you not felt that you were part of it? Once the dream is over, once you wake up, then you know that it was all unreal, that this waking state is real. Once the clouds are scattered by the passing breeze, you see the Gandharva Nagari melting away, and you realize that it was all unreal and that there was really no such thing as a city. Have you not felt all these things? Even so are the things of the world. This kingdom, this wealth, these wives, and this son whose death you are mourning, all these things are like objects which you saw in a dream. They do not exist. Like when you get up from a dream, you realize that it was an unreal world you were living in. Even so, when you wake up into the real Brahmani state, this world will appear to you like a dream from which you have woken up. Wake up from this dream, O king. Realize that nothing in this world is real or lasting, and you will then be able to shed this unhappiness. Realize that nothing in this world is real or lasting, and you will then be able to shed this unhappiness. Narada said, I will teach you a mantra from the Upanishads. After repeating it for a week, you will see the Lord Adishesha. You will then shed the sense of duality and reach the state which all emancipated souls have reached. With his yogic power, Narada made them all see the dead prince. He spoke to him and said, I greet you. You are the soul of the dead prince. Look on these kinsmen of yours. Your father and mother and others are grieving because you have left them. please return to the body which you have abandoned. Accept the wealth and the kingdom which your father is eager to give you. Be seated on the throne and make them all happy. The soul spoke. The divine soul, because of its getting involved in karma, is born in this world as child of a man, bird, or beast. When considered in that respect, everyone who has been born in this world has, at some time or other, been the son or father or mother of someone else, or relation or a friend or enemy. Like gold and other commodities which are bought and sold, which change hands constantly, even so the soul passes from body to body, from one father to another. This relationship is transient and unreal. As long as there is this relationship, so long does the word mine exist. But the Atman, though enclosed in a human body, does not have this delusion. It is only when there is involvement that pain arises. It is like a bar of gold. Consider a bar of gold. It is today placed in a box which belongs to a miser. Yesterday it was in the strong room of a goldsmith. Years later, it will be placed in the treasury of a king. Each of them will say that the gold is in his box. So long as it was in the goldsmith's box, or in that of the miser, or in that of the king. But they do not realize that the gold does not belong to the box, nor to the owner of the box. Even so, the Atman has no attachment and so no pain, nor does it experience any pleasure. It does not grieve when parted from the body which was till then holding it. Thus spoke the soul of the dead child and disappeared from the sight of all of them. Amazed at the spectacle conjured up before them and by the words of the dead prince, the people were rid of their sorrow and were able to comfort themselves. The chain of bondage was snapped and they did not have any more pain. They then performed the funeral rites for the prince, or rather the dead body. The stepmothers, repentant now, took up vritas to rid themselves of the sin they had committed. The king, with his mind cleared as a pond because of the words of Angirasa and Narada, left his country and wandered away like an elephant abandons a lake filled with mire. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Chapter 75 of Shrimadbhagavatam, Brahma Vidya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. King Chitraketu reached the banks of the river Yamuna. Having bathed in its holy waters, he sat down in meditation. He thought of the two rishis, and invoking them mentally, he saluted them with his mind. Narada appeared before him, and he was accompanied by Angirasa. They taught the king the mantra which they had promised, the mantra which would help him to reach the presence of Adisesha. They blessed the king and went away. Chitraketu repeated the mantra for 7 days and 7 nights. His food was water and nothing else. On the 7th night he became a Vidyadhara. His mind had now become clear and bright. In a few days he reached the presence of the seer, Adisesha, which is said to be the other form of the Lord. Pleased with the praises of the king, Adisesha said, I am very pleased with your devotion. Narada and Angirasa have asked you to come to me for knowledge. I will teach you the Brahma Vidya, which will clear your mind and rid you forever of the wheel called Maya. This entire universe is pervaded by me. I am the seer, the seen, and the process of seeing. Since I am both the seer and the seen, the drashta and the drishtam, there is no difference between the two. I invest myself in the object and I enter the frame of the seer. There is no difference between the two. There is, on one hand, the world of objects, and on the other, there is the one who enjoys the world of objects. There is, on one hand, the world of objects, and on the other, there is the one who enjoys the world of objects. Since both are in reality the same, since both are myself in two different forms, there is no difference between two. I pervade both. I will elaborate on this theme with the smile of a dream and a dreamer. When he is sleeping, a man sees a world of trees, mountains, and many other objects. It stands to reason that this entire world is created by him alone, by his mind, and it has no existence apart from him. And again, in the dream itself, man dreams of being awake or of being in some spot other than where he lay down to sleep. One who is sleeping in a house in Kosala can well dream of something happening to him in Gandhar. These are all common experiences of a dreamer. If you shift the viewpoint and consider Atman as the dreamer, then this world becomes something else than what it appears to ordinary man. To one who has realized the Brahman, this world assumes the semblance of a dream. The entire world is created by the dreamer, which is the Atman, as against the other world of dreams created by the sleeping mind of man. And when he wakes up from this dream, meaning when he realizes that he is awakened, the Atman will then know that the entire world of objects is but illusion, Maya. A man passes through three stages. He is awake, he is dreaming, and he is in deep sleep. These three stages occur one after another regularly to everyone. When he is awake, the dream world does not exist for him. When he is dreaming, the waking world does not exist. In the deep sleep stage, both these conditions are absent. But throughout these three stages or states, there is something which says, I am awake, I am sleeping, I was in deep sleep. It is that which is the Atman, and that is you and I. I am there in everyone, and once you realize this truth, there is afterwards no cause for pleasure or pain or any of the opposites, since the world of plurality vanishes. To you, all things will look alike, the trees and the blade of grass, the mountain and the grain of sand, since everything is but the one and only Atman, which is you. You cannot differentiate between two things, since you know that both are the same. The state which makes you see everything as pervaded by me is the Brahmani state. Whenever this truth is forgotten, then the soul gets involved in the world of objects. And forgetting its real nature, it becomes a victim to the play of the opposites. It will have no peace. The wise should therefore strive for the attainment of this equanimity, this capability to look on everything as similar. Everything should look alike to one who is proficient in the Brahma Vidya. The wise man should first learn the art of detachment. This is the first step to the path of freedom, to the state which is called the Brahmani State. In the world of men, people strive to attain happiness and they try to avoid unhappiness. All the actions they perform have only this end in view, happiness and the escape from unhappiness. But, strangely enough, the result is not what they expect. Neither do they achieve any happiness, nor is there any freedom for them from pain and unhappiness. A man who strives for something must really strive to realize that one thing, that which is common to the three states. O King, realize that this truth is me. Man should concentrate his thoughts on me, meditate on me. Ponder on this teaching of mine, and you will soon reach me and be one with me. Adisesha disappeared from his sight, and the king was filled with peace, which is beyond all understanding. He was happy, and he knew that he could never be unhappy again. Chitraketu travelled in the skies mounted on a chariot which could fly. Thousands of years passed happily for him who had no attachments and so no pain. He spent his time in singing the praises of the Lord, and so time passed. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Chapter 76 of Shrimadbhagavatam, The Curse of Sati. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Once, when he was passing the mountain home of Lord Mahadeva, Chitraketu saw the glowing form of Mahadeva. From his chariot, which had been given to him by Narayana, King Chitraketu saw the mountain Kailasa. The Pramata Ghanas surrounding their master and the master himself. He was seated in the midst of the rishis, and on his lap was seated Sati. With one hand he was embracing her. Looking on this, Chitraketu laughed loudly enough to be heard by all of them. He then said, "It is a great surprise to me to see Lord Mahadeva like this. He is said to be the Lord of the world. He is acclaimed teacher of all. He is presiding over an assembly of sages. And what do I see? I see him making love to his wife in public. Dressed as he is like an ascetic in mated locks, well versed as he is in all the sacred lore, this God is behaving like an ordinary, uncultured, ignorant man by making love to his women in the presence of all. Why, even the ignorant man whom I mention is not so shameless. He takes a woman only in secret. How then can one explain this scene?" Mahadeva heard his words but said nothing. He sat smiling, and the others in the assembly followed his example. No one spoke a word, but Sati could not brook his impertinence. She thought that he was proud of his own control over his senses, and she felt that he needed to be taught a lesson which would curb his impertinence. She spoke with her eyes glowing with anger. She said, "This man is now so great that he thinks he is fit enough to teach the rules of conduct and decorum to shameless people like us. Evidently, those who follow the words of Brahma, the sons of Brahma, the rishis, Bhrigu and Narada, or the others who are here do not know anything about the rules of conduct. According to this upstart, they are all fools, and this, my Lord Mahadeva, is not worthy of respect. It is time the pride of this king is curbed. It is high time he is punished. He is unfit to be anywhere near the feet of Narayana. And so, Chitraketu, I curse you to be born in the dread clan of Asuras as a punishment for your arrogance." Chitraketu climbed down off his chariot and prostrated before the Devi in all humility. He said, "Mother of the world, I receive your curse with folded palms. What has been ordained by the gods for man has in reality been decided by his own actions long ago. The human animal, caught up as it is in the delusion Maya, moves round and round in circles without knowing how to get out of this samsara, and it undergoes pain and pleasure which visit him in turns. The Atman has nothing to do with this alternation of the opposites, nor is anyone capable of causing this cycle. In this world, which is but an illusory stream flowing endlessly, where is the place for either a curse or a blessing? Is there a heaven? And is there such a place as hell? Happiness, sorrow. It is the Paramatma who creates living beings with his Maya, and it is he who gives them bondage or release from bondage, and all the while he is never involved. He loves no one, nor does he hate anyone. He has no kinsmen and no friends. Everything looks alike to him, and in him the opposite feelings are absent too. How then can anger find a place in him? Never, mother. Mind, I am not angry with you for cursing me, nor am I going to ask you to withdraw or modify the curse. If my words have offended you, please forgive them." After saluting the heavenly pair, Chitraketu ascended the chariot and went away with a smile on his face. Mahadeva was watching him, also with a smile on his face. He then turned to Sati and said, "Now, do you see the greatness of the Bhakta of Narayana? Nothing will affect him. Heaven, hell, curse, blessing will all mean the same to a Bhakta of the Lord. His nature is so placid that he will find peace wherever he is. Everything looks the same to him. He is well versed in Brahma Vidya, and the opposites mean nothing to him. Look at the peace on the face of this man who has been condemned by you to a terrible birth." Sati's anger abated and she looked at Chitraketu and his calmness. Chitraketu, who did not curse her in return, even though he had the power to do so. He accepted the curse with an unruffled frame of mind. It was this Chitraketu who was born as Vritra because of the curse of Sati. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Krishnarpanamastu.